I am Pooja, your host for this session. I welcome you all to another session of TestMu Conference 2024. Today, we are going to dive into how you can enhance your automated testing with Selenide, an open source library designed to make writing UI tests in Java more straightforward and reliable. Our speaker, Andrei, is the creator of Selenide and a well known software developer with several open source projects under his belt. In this session, Andrei will walk us through how Selenide helps create concise, readable, and stable UI tests. You'll also get to see some of its popular features like screenshots, reports, downloading files, and more essentially, tools you often find yourself coding from scratch. This session will particularly be useful if you're looking to streamline your testing processes and improve test reliability. After the presentation, we will have a Q&A session where you can ask Andrei any questions you might have. Let's get started. Andrei, over to you.
Yeah, hello, thank you. Can you hear me? Everything's fine?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let me share my screen and we can start. So yes, today I'm going to show you Selenide, a very simple library for writing UI tests in Java. So a couple of words about me. I'm a software developer from Estonia, from company Codeborne, and I love open source projects. I did create few projects and maintain few other projects. Also, I love unit tests, test-driven development, agile, clean code, extreme programming, and such topics. And among other open source libraries, one got very popular. It's called Selenide, and this is our topic today. So just in case, this is Tallinn. This is my home city. Yeah, so you are welcome to visit Tallinn. It's very nice at winter, for example. So today's plan is I will do a brief introduction to Selenide, its basic features, briefly show how to write a mobile test in Selenide, if you wish, and in the end I will show how to run Selenide tests on Lambda test service. So what is Selenide? You probably know Selenium. Selenium is a library that many companies use for writing automated tests, but it's not actually correct. Actually, Selenide is a testing library based on Selenium. Yes, testing library meaning library for writing automated tests. Selenium is, let's say, a low-level tool for manipulating browser. It's not a tool for testing. That's why there is Selenide. It's on top of Selenium. It's for testing. What it gives? Selenide gives you a short API or concise API for writing stable tests, readable tests, easy to maintain tests, which provide you many features. For example, automated screenshots, built-in matchers for checking element texts, classes, attributes, and so on and so on. Writing tests in Selenide is actually very, very easy. Let me show the code. A typical test in Selenide might look like this. Selenide at all has three major actions to do. First of all, you call method open, which opens a browser. Under the hood, it does a lot of things. It downloads WebDriver, starts WebDrivers, proper settings, and so on and so on. Then you use $command to find some element by ID, by class, by attribute, and so on. And then you can do some actions with this element. You can check, click, type in some value, and so on. And in the end, you want to assert something. Selenide provides a bunch of methods like should have text, should have value, should have attribute, and so on and so on, for asserting something visually. And yes, I have created a sample project, GitHub, Selenide examples, Selenide Lambda test, which does have a bunch of tests running on Lambda test service. Let me show the code. This is a project. This is a project, Selenide Lambda test, and we can run this test and see if it works. It will not open a browser locally, but it will open a browser in Lambda test service. Like you see, we have a running build. Yes, right now we see that the browser is running remotely on Lambda test. Okay, it was too quick. We can do it longer. Like, let's repeat this test 100 times, and let's see how it's running now. Here we have a new build, and we should see here some video in the corner. Yeah. This video actually shows how a browser is running remotely on Lambda test server. Yeah, it's a very simple test that runs open Selenide site like multiple times and executes the same code again and again. As you see, the test is very simple. Open site, finds some element with dollar, filters something by text, and clicks and verifies the result. So very easy. Okay, let's stop it. And briefly, what features does Selenide? As I said, Selenide allows you to write less code. Just bring some examples. For example, in Selenide, to find element, there is very short syntax compared to typical Selenium syntax, which is like much longer, right? Again, to check that some element is visible, you just write element should be visible instead of this ugly long syntax that you probably have written like many times. Another example, to check that some element does not exist. In Selenide, there is very short syntax compared to this ugly code that you would need to write with Selenium. Yes, there are other ways as well, but they are also long. And one killer feature of Selenide, the most important feature probably, is that Selenide has built-in weightings, which helps you to find most of flaky tests. Yes, to achieve the same result in Selenium, you should write something like that: new WebDriver wait until 4 seconds, and so on and so on. So what is smart waiting in Selenide? It means that all these should commands like this actually will recheck. If it's not visible immediately, they will recheck, and all this also should have text. If this menu item does not still yet have the needed text, Selenide will recheck and retry multiple times. Yeah, all this should checks. And once again, all these methods wait for some time. By default, up to 4 seconds, and if needed, the timeout can be configured. There are a few ways how to configure timeout, either with system property or programmatically, no matter. So once again, yeah, all these methods can wait a little bit if needed, which makes your test really stable. It helps solve most of flaky tests. This is like a great value of Selenide. You don't need to bother about waitings, timeouts, and so on and so on. Just write in plain English your text. Some header should have text like this, and it will wait automatically. To highlight some more features that Selenide has for testing, first of all, error messages. This is a very useful feature, like that you typically need in all your tests. If some check fails, if you expect some element to have given text, but this element does not have given text, so the test will fail, and Selenide does try to generate a readable error message. Something like that. That element should not have text like this, but actually it has text like this, and timeout was like this. So this error message is very useful to find out what was the problem. Also, Selenide does take automatically a screenshot and even a page source and adds it automatically to the error message, so you can always click this link and check what was the screenshot. So you do not have to do anything to take screenshots. It will be taken automatically. Another feature of Selenide is collections. Like method $, finds one element, element, but method $2 finds collection of elements. And you can check many things for this collection, like the size of collection. You can check that like texts of the collection. It's very convenient way to check with a single line of code to check like the whole table, for example, or the whole list of employees, and so on and so on. If we check, yeah, in this case, my simple test also does it. This actually finds out all the like user text and checks all these texts with just one call. You can check the exactly the size of this collection, or you can check that collection is greater than something. You can also check, for example, texts of this collection, something like that. Yeah, and so on and so on. So you can check quite a lot of things with your collection. If you click here, you find out all the possible checks that you have for the collections. Yeah, quite a lot of things. Attributes of elements and so on. Also, you can filter collections. The $2 returns an object that has method filter, and you can find only visible elements, for example, and check their count, and so on. Yeah, there is a lot of things that you can do with collection. Selenide has lots of built-in features that we cannot show today because of limited time. Let me name some of them. Selenide can download files, upload files, has some advanced locators, can generate reports, allows you to use page objects of different styles, which are much like shorter than you used to. It can run test in parallel. It can allows you to introduce your custom comments or custom checks, custom conditions, that's called. You can write mobile tests with Selenide, and Selenide has a few features to speed up your tests. You can make your tests much faster using some Selenide features. First of all, fast set value and few more features. Also, you can check something besides web elements. For example, you can check local storage, session storage, clipboard. You can check windows, frames, shadow, DOM, and so on. All the stuff. Let me bring, let me show some basic things that you will know if you start using Selenide. Navigation. As I said, there is method $, that can find one element. And you have lots of ways how to find element. For example, using CSS selector. You don't write all this by methods at all. So the syntax is much shorter. And this table shows some similar with selectors. You can find element by ID or by class name. This is analog in Selenium. You can find elements by name, by any other attributes, like here, instead of name. You can find elements by XPath, and so on. And Selenide has like built-in advanced locators. They all are collected in class selectors. So you can import static selectors dot asterisks and use all these advanced locators, like for finding element by attribute, or by title, or by value, or even by text. A very common way to find elements using data test ID. It's also possible in Selenide. Yeah, just to highlight that to use data test ID, you need to add these attributes to your source code. Yeah, this is a recommended way nowadays to find elements in tests. And you can even find elements by text. Again, Selenide selectors has methods by text and with text. By text search by entire text, and with text search by substring. Sometimes it's very convenient way to find elements when you don't have some good locators or test ID or something like that. In Selenide, you can easily find parent of some elements or previous elements. For example, it allows you to write something like that. You can find some specific cell in a table. You can find the table containing this cell, find another row in this table, and find another cell in this table. So yeah, very advanced way to find elements when you don't have like specific locators. Reports. Often you need to generate reports from a test. Selenide has built-in report, so-called text report. If you enable it, it will generate a simple plain text report in the end of every test, which allows you which buttons did you try to click and how much time it took and so on. It allows you to find some slow actions and optimize your test if needed. To allow this text report, you just need to add extension to your test. In Selenide, there is text report extension. Let me show. In my case, I could write something like that: extends with text report extension, something like that. Or another way, I like often do it. Often I enable these extensions globally. Like in file giving platform properties, I define a property called auto detection enabled true. And in this case, GUnit will automatically detect all extensions available, including text report extension. Let's continue. Also, Selenide is integrated with Allure reports. If you like Allure reports, you can enable it with just one line. Just write Selenide logger dot add listener and Allure listener, and Allure will generate such a nice report, which is like nicer than text report. And if you like it, please, it's also possible. Another feature of Selenide is working with files. You can upload or download files in Selenide. For example, for uploading file, you just need to call method upload file. Yeah, again, we have demo version here. File upload test. If you need, you can run it. Let's check if we have some video. Okay, it's not so much important. Yeah, we can upload files. Selenide even allows you to upload multiple files like this. You can also download a file. This is a thing that is not provided by default Selenium, and this is really hard to implement by yourself. And actually, this is the most complex method in Selenide probably. Yeah, and for you, it's very simple. You just find the button, and by clicking this button, download starts. And this method, if it completes without exceptions, return a file which is already downloaded. You don't need to find this file anyhow in downloads folders. It's already found. It's already downloaded. And Selenide also has some advanced like signature for downloading files. You can pass some parameters here, like using which method. There are several methods available for downloading the file. Which timeout, you can specify what extension are you expecting or what file name you're expecting and so on. Again, we have several examples, almost several examples here in this project. So yeah, you can try to download files using different methods. And as you see, we have different methods available. Let's go on. Yeah, just for information, after downloading a file, I usually recommend to check name or content of this file. For example, if you expect to download a PDF, you can check that this PDF contains some expected text. In this case, I'm using another library that I created, PDF test that allows you to verify contents of PDF file. Just a side note. Selenide also has multiple checks for browser. For example, you can check that browser has currently some specific URL or like URL using some given timeout. And there's many other ways. You can check that URL has not the entire URL, but only part of URL, starting with, containing, and so on and so on. There are multiple different checks, like you can check how many open windows are currently, and so on and so on. Also, you can operate with clipboard or check contents of clipboard. Yeah, you can check that clipboard has some specific content, again with timeout. And again, as usually in Selenide, you can specify timeout for any of these checks. And if such a check fails, Selenide will automatically generate a readable error message with a screenshot, and it will be easier to investigate what happened there. Yeah, you can also check contents of local storage and session storage, and so on. Okay, we have 10 minutes. Okay, in page objects. In Selenide, you can declare page objects, and it's actually much easier than you used to do. In Selenide, declaring a page object is very easy. Just need to create a class, call it something like page, and declare public methods for operating with elements. For example, like this. As you see, it's very easy to write a page object in Selenide. You don't need factories, annotations, all this stuff. It's much easier. You don't need to pass WebDriver instance, all these methods. You don't need to call like this, initiate, and so on and so on. It's very easy to do it. But yeah, just code without any magic. But if you want to use annotations, probably you're used to, then yes, you still can declare web element page objects with fields, with web element fields using these annotations. It's still possible. Why not? If you like it, yes, possible. Mobile. In Selenide, you can write tests for mobile applications as well. For this, you need to include this model of Selenide, just yet another dependency like Selenide.py. We have some examples here on GitHub. And then you will be able to write automated tests like this. This is actually a working test for Android application calculator, which is built in Android. Yeah, it looks like any other web test in Selenide as well. All the same stuff like automated screenshots, timeouts, and so on and so on. Automated waiting. And you can even write page objects for mobile applications as well, still using these same annotations. Different annotations for web, on Android, and for iOS. And in this case, a test will look like this. Absolutely readable, simple, very easy test. Why not? Theoretically, you can even reuse test code or page objects for different platforms, for Android, iOS, and web, theoretically. It's not always a good idea, but if you want, you can do it. And the test will remain like very local, very readable. And the last part, how to write Selenide tests remotely in clouds. I mean, to run Selenide tests so that browser runs in clouds. For example, on Lambda test services. How to do that? Actually, it's very easy. You just need to add two configuration properties to Selenide like this. First of all, you need to have an account on Lambda test service, and you need to declare two environment variables on your computer, LT username and LT access key, something like that. You need to have these environment variables. And then it's very easy to write any test. Before starting a test, you need to declare two configuration properties. Configuration remote, this is a URL of hub, of remote service. This might be test containers, browsers, the Selenium grid, source labs, or Lambda test. In this case, this is Lambda test. And you need to add some Lambda test specific options to web browser so-called capabilities like this. There are more options available. Again, you can check from this code. This test setup class does exactly that before all tests. And if you need to, you can add more options here. Like here is quite a lot of options. You can enable video, network, logs, whatever. For example, if you use JUnit 5, you can do it. I probably recommend it to do it before.
Yes. I'm really sorry to interrupt you in between. Just wanted to remind you that we have just 5 left for this session to end. So
Sure.
just let me know if you are interested in taking a few questions or you want to continue with your presentation.
I guess I almost finished. So yes, after 2 slides, probably, yeah, I'm free for questions.
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
And actually, this is a light slide. If you like Selenide, I recommend you to try it. Then you can check out next steps to do from this video, from the last Selenium Conf, where I described which are like a very simple first steps. How can you migrate your existing Selenium project to Selenide? There are very simple steps that you can do to migrate the entire project or only some parts of this project. You don't need to rewrite everything. So yeah, I'm free for questions. Thank you for your attention. And you can ask now or ask later. You have my Twitter here. You can find me in Telegram, LinkedIn, Slack, wherever, or in GitHub in the end. Thank you for your attention. Free for questions.
Sure. Thank you. So I am presenting this first question on stage. One of the things that I have encountered with Selenium test is the flakiness associated with dynamic web elements. How does Selenide solve the flakiness issue for complex test scenario? This question is by Jim.
Okay. Like as I said, in the very beginning, Selenide solves most of the flaky tests this way that it all of these should methods will wait a little bit if the element is not ready yet. For example, this method click also waits a little bit if needed, if element is not yet clickable. And this method also waits a little bit if needed, if the element is not active yet. So this covers most of flaky tests. And if you are interested, I very recommend my talk, which was dedicated to flaky tests. Yeah, JFocus, for example. This was my talk about flaky tests. Yeah, I recommend. Maybe I will drop it to chat. So it like probably covers more topics. And I'm still free to discuss any topics somewhere online. Yeah. More questions?
So sorry. Yes, we have another question. How can you make test? I'm just showing it on stage. How can you make tests not be dependent one to another? By Flora.
Okay, Hannah, how can I make tests independent from each other? Right?
Yes.
This is a like complex topic. I also covered this topic in my flaky tests talk. I highly recommend to communicate with your developers to make the application testable. For example, in most of our projects, we have URL, something like this, fast login, something like this. So we ask developers, or we create by ourselves some specific endpoint, which is available only in test environment, not in production, which allows you to quickly log in as any user to the system. And often we also add a special parameter saying where to direct to after login. Like.
Okay, thank you for that insightful session, Andrei. I'm really sorry we have completed our time. And I am sure that we have learned a lot from this session and your insights were really, really helpful. I also want to remind all the attendees that all these sessions are recorded and will be available on Lambda Test YouTube channel. So you can go back and listen to them again and share with your peers. Have a great day, and we have more insightful sessions waiting for you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.